The third approach, we've done bio, we've done cognitive. Now we're going to look at sociocultural. I'm going to say a word or a theory or give you a pretty easy question, I hope. Hit pause, write down the answer, come back, keep watching. We'll get through every possible short answer question topic in the sociocultural approach and see how ready you are for those exams. You ready? Let's go. You know what this thing is. If you do, that's the first step to getting ready for the exams. If you don't, you're not ready, right? Let's go. Social identity theory, hit pause. What is it? Write down what you know about it. Hopefully you can say what behavior that explains, right? Next up, social cognitive theory. Who devised the theory? What does it try to explain? What are the three key claims? Do you know it? Go. Next word, acculturation. Hit pause, define. Enculturation. Could you define norm? Last exams I asked about cultural norms. You should be able to define social norm, cultural norm. Write those two things down, go. Assimilate/assimilation. Hopefully you can define that. You can give the IB's unique definition or you can give the actual definition. Either one is okay. Almost at the end there. Stereotypes. What is a stereotype? That's the first part. Then, can you state one effect and one explanation for why they're formed? Cultural dimension, give me one example of a cultural dimension. And if you're going to define what they are, a couple of sentences, great, go for it. Hit pause, go. Let's see, we got everything. Did we do social identity theory, social groups, social cognitive theory, stereotypes, formation and effects, cultural origins, cultural groups, cultural dimensions, enculturation, norms, enculturation, acculturation, assimilation. I think we got there, right? Let's check your answers here. Social identity theory, I would hope you would have got maybe Tajfel and Turner 1960s, but importantly that it explains prejudice and discrimination. And you might have had some key terms like positive distinctiveness, social comparison, social identity, etc. Right? But the key, what is social identity theory? It's a theory devised in the 1960s by Tajfel and Turner that explains prejudice and discrimination between groups. Social cognitive theory, I would hope that you got the three key claims, the key points there about observational learning, self-efficacy, and triadic reciprocal causation. And you know it was by Bandura. Originally called social learning theory, later called social cognitive theory in the 1980s. Cultural dimension, you should have said something like individualism, collectivism, short-term, long-term, power distance, masculine, femininity. But the most common one you probably studied is individualism, collectivism. Individualism being a set of cultural values based on the relative importance of individual identity, responsibility, and autonomy. Whereas collectivism is cultural values based on the relative importance of being a member of a group. Social groups is simply belonging to any group that shares something in common. A cultural group is any group that shares a set of norms, and these cultural groups can be identified by their distinct cultural norms. A cultural norm being a shared expectation of appropriate ways of thinking and behaving. Acculturation, enculturation. I hope you know that acculturation is the change or adaptation that happens as a result of living in a new culture, whereas enculturation is the process of learning the cultural norms and values of one's heritage culture. I should have said globalization. For the higher level students, you should know that this globalization is a process by which cultures influence one another and become more alike through trade, immigration, and the exchange of information and ideas. A stereotype, a widely held generalization about a group of people. The formation, well, there's lots of possible explanations here. One that I like is the outgroup homogeneity effect, but there's the grain of truth hypothesis, there's illusory correlations, but you have to be ready to explain why stereotypes are formed and their effect on behavior. You might talk about the stereotype threat effect, or stereotypes lead to confirmation bias, which in turn reinforces stereotypes, and it becomes a never-ending cycle. I think we got all the definitions there. Now, bear in mind, this is only the first step to making sure that you're ready, but I can't review the whole social cultural approach in just this 5 minutes. You have to know what these words are, right? How can you explain enculturation if you don't know what it is? The second step is to be able to explain how and why these things influence behavior, or the theories, how and why they explain behavior, with one supporting study for a short answer question, 2 or 3 for an essay, and for the essay, some critical thinking. If you can do all those things, you're really well prepared. But if you don't even know what these things are, turn off the YouTube, get to studying. Good luck for your exams. Please make sure you come back, leave a comment on how you went. I really enjoy getting comments from students who have just done their exams to let me know that the videos and the blog posts were helpful, or if they weren't. I might have spoken too fast in this video. That's something I'm working to get better at. Coming up, Well, maybe I'll post this one third. This might have been the third in the series, but anyway, I'm going to do biological, cognitive, and sociocultural. Cheers.